So, welcome to this edition of Bible Trivia Old Testament Prophets. Let's jump right into it. Who was swallowed by a great fish after fleeing from God's command? Was it A. Elijah, B. Jonah, C. Isaiah, or D. Daniel? Who was swallowed by a great fish after fleeing from God's command? Answer is B, Jonah. Did you get that one correct? They're going to get harder. I know, it seems. The explanation: Jonah tried to run away from God's mission to preach to the people, but he quickly found out that you can't outrun God after being thrown overboard during a storm. Wow, yeah. Which prophet challenged the prophets of Baal on Mount Carmel? Carmel. A. Ezekiel. B. Jeremiah. C. Elijah. Or D. Hosea. Which prophet challenged the prophets of Baal on Mount Carmel? The answer was C, Elijah. Did you get that one correct? Baal. Interesting. Elijah staged the ultimate showdown on Mount Carmel, where he called down fire from the heaven to prove that God of Israel is the one true God. Spoiler alert, the prophets of Baal didn't stand a chance. All right, who had a vision of a valley of dry bones coming to life? A vision of a valley of dry bones coming to life. Is it A, Daniel, B, Ezekiel, C, Isaiah, or D, Amos? Do you know this one? It's kind of a tough one. The answer is B, Ezekiel. Are you 3 for 3? Are you 2 for 3? Are you 1 for 3? Ezekiel had one of the most epic visions in the Bible, a valley full of dry bones coming to life and forming a mighty army. It was God's way of showing that he can bring life even to the most hopeless situations. All right, next question. Which prophet was taken up to heaven in a whirlwind? Taken up to heaven in a whirlwind. Is it Elisha, Jonah, Elijah, or Isaiah? The answer is C, Elijah. Such a good name. I have a friend named Eli. Explanation: Elijah didn't experience death the way most people do. Instead, he got a one-way ticket to heaven via a fiery chariot. It's great. One for the history books. Who prophesies the coming of a suffering servant who would bear the sins of many? So, who prophesies the coming of a suffering servant who would bear the sins of many? Was it Jeremiah, Isaiah, Daniel, or Malachi? Another great name. Malachi is such a cool name. My best friend's name is Malachi. All right. The answer is B, Isaiah. Did you get that one correct? These ones are tough. Explanation: Isaiah had a special insight into the future and spoke about a suffering servant who would take on the sins of the world. Thank goodness for that. Which prophet interpreted the king's dream about a statue? Nebuchadnezzar. Sorry. My vision got all fuzzy there. Is it A, Ezekiel, B, Daniel, C, Zechariah, or D, Jeremiah? These are cool names. The answer is B, Daniel. When King Nebuchadnezzar had a troubling dream about a giant statue, Daniel stepped in to save the day. Thank you, Daniel. All right. Who was known as the weeping prophet because of his deep sorrow over Israel's sins? Hosea, Amos, Jeremiah, or Joel? And the answer is C, Jeremiah. These are tough. These are difficult ones. Jeremiah had a tough job He had to deliver a lot of bad news to the people of Israel. It earned him the nickname the Weeping Prophet. Imagine having to deliver all that bad news. Which prophet confronted King David after his sin with Bathsheba? A. Samuel, B. Nathan, C. Elijah, or D. Elisha? Elijah? Elisha. Is it Samuel, Nathan, Elijah, or Elisha? It's B. Nathan. And his famous hot dogs. Just kidding. Nathan had the difficult task of confronting King David about his sin with Bathsheba. But he did it with a clever story that got David to admit his wrongdoing. Which prophet's book includes the famous prophecy, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares? Which prophet's book includes the famous prophecy, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares? Do you know this one? Is it Isaiah, Micah, Malachi? Answer is A, Isaiah. Explanation. Isaiah was all about peace and hope for the future. His prophecy about turning swords into plowshares paints a beautiful picture of a world where war is no more and nations live in harmony. I love that. Which prophet was known for marrying a prostitute as a symbol of God's relationship with Israel? A. Hosea, B. Amos, C. Micah, or D. Joel? This is a tough one. Do you remember this one? Do you remember that one time they talked about it? What was it? What was it? The answer is A. Hosea. Explanation. Their life was a living metaphor. God asked them to marry a prostitute named Gomer to illustrate Israel's unfaithfulness to God. Wow. We're halfway done. Please comment below how many have you gotten correct out of the first 10. We got another 10, and they get even more difficult. I hope you're 10 for 10, but even if you're not, that's not the point. The point is to just learn a little bit, have some fun, and we continue. Which prophet was fed by ravens during a drought? Elijah. Elisha. Amos or Joel? Which prophet was fed by ravens during a drought? Wonder what they brought him to eat. Hopefully some bread and meat. Am I right? All right, answer A. Elijah. Imagine if it was worms. Ooh, they bring you like berries and worms. Like, thank you. When a severe drought hit Israel, Elijah was sent to the ravine where he experienced some rather unusual room service. Brought him bread and meat twice a day. There we go, called it. Who prophesied the fall of the walls of Jericho? Who was the prophet that prophesied the fall of the walls of Jericho? Was it A, Isaiah, B, Jeremiah, C, Joshua, or D, Amos? The walls of Jericho. Answer is C, Joshua was the one who prophesied it. Did you get that one correct? Joshua received some pretty unconventional military advice. March around the city of Jericho for 7 days and then shout. Anything is possible. Which prophet was called as a young boy hearing God's voice in the night? Which prophet was called as a young boy hearing God's voice in the night? Can you imagine waking up and hearing that? Was it A, Jeremiah, B, Isaiah, C, Samuel, or D, Ezekiel? Answer is C, Samuel was the one who heard God's voice in the middle of the night. Samuel's prophetic journey began when he was just a boy serving in the temple. God called him during the night, and after some initial confusion, Samuel responded. Yeah, I could see initial confusion. Which prophet had a showdown with the prophets of Baal and called down fire from heaven? Ooh, do you remember? I think we went over this a little bit. This might be a freebie. My gift to you. Answer is B, Elijah, one of my favorite prophets. Who is your favorite prophet? Please comment that down below. Elijah's epic battle on Mount Carmel with the prophets of Baal was nothing short of legendary. I know we talked about this earlier in this quiz. All right. Who saw a vision of a burning coal touching his lips? A, Isaiah. B, Daniel. C, Ezekiel. Or D, Zechariah. Who saw a vision of burning coal touching his lips? The answer is A, Isaiah. Isaiah had a powerful vision where an angel touched his lips with a burning coal from the altar, purifying him and preparing him for his prophetic mission. Which prophet was thrown into a lion's den but emerged unharmed? Which prophet was thrown into a lion's den but emerged unharmed? Can you imagine? Was it Daniel, Jonah, Ezekiel, or Jeremiah? Being thrown into a lion's den. That is both cool and terrifying. The answer is A. Daniel was the one. Did you know that? Daniel's enemies thought they had him cornered when they had him thrown into a den of hungry lions, but they underestimated the power of Daniel's God, who shut the lion's mouth and kept Daniel safe. That'd be so cool. All right, which prophet used a potter's wheel as a symbol of God's authority over Israel? Which prophet used a potter's wheel as a symbol of God's authority over Israel? Was it A, Ezekiel, B, Jeremiah, C, Hosea, or D, Amos? Potter's wheel. Answer B, Jeremiah. Jeremiah visited a potter's house and watched as the potter molded clay on his wheel. God used this imagery to show Jeremiah that he, like the potter, has the power to shape and reshape nations. Wow. Powerful metaphor. I'm an artist, so I get it. Which prophet foretold the coming of a Messiah? Kind of got cut off there a little bit. A, Isaiah. B, Micah. C, Hosea, or D, Zechariah? Answer B, Micah. Long before the birth of Jesus, Micah prophesied that the Messiah would be born in the small town of Bethlehem. It's a prophecy that was fulfilled in the New Testament, showing that God's plans are always on time. Which prophet had a vision of a flying scroll? A, Zechariah. B, Ezekiel. C, Isaiah. Or D, Daniel? Which prophet had a vision of a flying scroll? Think, think, think. Answer is A, Zechariah. Zechariah had some of the most vivid visions, including one where he saw a giant flying scroll. The scroll represented God's judgment against the wickedness of the land. Who was the prophet that succeeded Elijah and received a double portion of his spirit? Now we're talking. Was it A, Amos, B, Hosea, C, Elijah, or D, Micah? Double portion of his spirit. The answer is C, Elisha. Elisha wasn't just content with following in Elijah's footsteps. He boldly asked for a double portion of Elijah's spirit after witnessing Elijah's dramatic departure from heaven. So please comment down below, what did you get? Congratulations on doing another impossibly difficult. This one was tough. Comment your score down below. Good job for doing this. And I bet if you were to retake this quiz, you would get a 20 out of 20. So you know what? We're improving. We're getting better. And I hope you enjoyed this Bible trivia on the Old Testament prophets. Thank you so much, and I hope you're having a beautiful day.